Hey, welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host, the host of this one-man show coming to you every Monday, 6 a.m. UK time. And as you can read from the title, it's finally time. I think it is appropriate time to talk about Heated Rivalry. Man, I've been waiting for so long to talk about this, but I think, I could have easily waited for another week and waited for, the entire show, like the first season, to be done to talk about this TV show. But for whatever reason, I think it's now the most appropriate time. I think because we're all gearing up to watch the finale, basically. I think it's a good and appropriate time to just reflect on what we've had so far. And I think it's pretty well established now, 5 episodes in, that the show is indeed a masterpiece and worthy, I guess, of being talked about at length by basically anyone under the sun at this moment in time. So so here's my sort of review slash pitch to my viewers, my listeners who maybe are not into the TV show yet or have not even heard of it before. Which, honestly, what is wrong with you? Like, where are you living? Like, are you living under a rock? It's crazy. Like, come on. But yeah, my friends already are pretty much fed up with me talking about this because, like, I cannot stop. I'm not kidding when I say this obsession with the show has become almost unhealthy. It's not unhealthy. It's really passionate, to be fair, but it is, borderline crazy. Like, I'm just so engrossed and I'm just, very passionate about the show for many reasons. And you'll see from the way I talk about this in a few moments why this show is so important to me as well. But so this is my sort of review slash I guess pitch to you guys as to why you should watch this TV show and why it's resonating so well and why is it such a big phenomenon, why it's so important that we talk about this as well in the meantime. It's like, also, why is it so important that we talk about this show and why it's being talked about so much already. So yeah, time to talk about one of my most recent obsessions, basically. I truthfully cannot recollect, to be fair, when is the last time I got so engrossed in any piece of media, like whether it is an album or a book or a movie or a TV show, anything of the sorts. It's been quite a while. I think, and I talk briefly later on about this as well. Maybe the most recent one must have been Challengers for me personally, like the movie. It's one of the few movies that I've gone 3 times at the theater to watch. Like, it doesn't happen very often to me. I usually just watch any movies that I like once on the theater and then just like whatever. And now I keep on rewatching even at home every now and then. But that's probably the last time. It's very much comparable to, I don't know, Lord's Melodrama or Taylor Swift 1999. Like the sheer amount of time that I spend consuming this media is just incredible. Like, literally, this show, we're on episode 5 and I've rewatched it so many times. It's just insane. But yeah, I basically keep on thinking about how it is basically my new personality. Like, usually there's that memes like, oh, my new personality for this year is this and that, whatever. Whenever, I don't know, an album from a specific artist drops, it's like, I cannot wait for my new personality to kick in or whatever. This is it. Like, this is truthfully it. Like, it happens very rarely, every once in a blue moon, but we're having it right now. At least for me, it is like that. I cannot shut up about it. My friends can testify too. It's not simply about the world building or the story itself. I mean, in large part, it is that as well, of course. But I think everything about the show is just slowly becoming part of my personality. The soundtrack was incredible and got me into French indie music. Like, what the fuck? That's how you know that we're like venturing into spaces that have never been, walked in by myself specifically. But yeah, like, literally also made me return to one of my playlists that I made like ages ago, like months ago. And if you want to look at it, it's on Spotify. It's called Hunting Days. and it's like the only thing. It's very indie, it's very rockish, like soft rock, whatever. It's the only thing I've been listening to lately. Even running to this is just like, it's all based on a couple of songs that were played on a show. Like these two songs that specifically that I'm going to talk about later on in my songs of the week kickstarted this whole thing as well. I went back to my playlist and I was like, I need to add these two songs to that, and it's just like, it's the vibe. It's the vibe. It's the vibe. What else? Fashion. Yeah. There's one specific piece of clothing, I think, that I'm really thinking about whenever I think about the show. And it's Ilya wears it in episode 2 specifically. It's that black V-neck shirt. My girls know what I'm talking about. I think, hopefully, I know what you guys know what I'm talking about. I need that shirt. And even my working out schedule has become like, it has definitely ramped up ever since starting this show. Just by seeing basically these men training so much, I just, started working out even more than before. Just, having a rigid schedule. It's just very, very, very funny how just like everything is being sort of influenced by the show. Hockey, a month ago, I wouldn't have been able to tell you a single thing about that sport. And now all of a sudden I'm so interested in seeing a hockey match live. Like I've never watched hockey ever. And now I'm like, maybe I should go and like maybe take a trip to Canada and fucking see hockey live or whatever. I don't know. So truly, yeah, this has been a complete vibe shift for me. And it's also about the show, doing so well in the greater scheme of things that really adds onto experience. It is actually so impressive. Truthfully, we haven't had a show that captures general consciousness in such a long time. Like, this is really building a sense of community that is unmatched. Like, it is truly for the history books. We are all tuned in, and we are all talking about this. I'm not the only one experiencing this in this sort of way. It's a mass psychosis, basically. Like, it's for the books, for real. I've talked about at length about how difficult for modern entertainment, like, to bridge many communities. It's become like so increasingly difficult for them, and how, like, disruptive, personalized algorithms and social media silos have become. But this is just proving to be a true force of nature to be reckoned with, I think. Like, it is just simply one of the greatest stories ever told in the media. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm really not exaggerating. Every social media I use now is flooded with content about the show. And it's just like, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Usually when it's like a show that goes slightly viral, it's either like on one or the other, or maybe two social media platforms I use. They talk about this and it shows up in my algorithm. But this is like every social media that I use has some content about this. Like, for example, Avatar, the movie is like doing great, whatever, but it's predominantly on Twitter that people are talking about it in the movie spaces, basically. But this is like permeating every form of social media. It's just frankly so interesting to see as well from a social media perspective. Usually some things like, remain contained on a single social media and have a relatively short lifespan, like a very short-lived one. But nope, like the show keeps on generating content on a weekly basis, partially also thanks to the weekly release, I think, of the episodes. It really adds onto the experience. Like, every week we are tuning back in all together collectively, and then immediately after we're running social media to discuss it, which is so refreshing to see. It hasn't happened in ages. But I think it's also a big testament to the quality of the show itself. I have to be honest. Like, it wouldn't happen if there wasn't any substance to it. Now, if I haven't impressed you enough yet with all of this massive preamble, wait till you hear this. The show started off as a Canadian exclusive show with a relatively lower budget compared to like other TV shows. Not many executives, I think, believed in the show itself, didn't want to greenlight it. It was a very hard time for the director himself to find a house for the show to be streamed on. And, for the beginning, I guess, the very beginning of the show, it remained contained in a Canadian streaming platform called Crave. It never was intended to be exported as it has been now, basically. But because by sheer simple word of mouth, basically, the show is now one of the highest rated TV shows ever. Like, specifically, the latest episode 5, has tied an episode of Breaking Bad as the highest TV show, like highest rated TV show episode ever on IMDb. Like, this is actually insanity. Like, from such a small, production becoming this such a massive global phenomena is just insane. And due to the surging popularity now, HBO Max has started distributing it in the US, in Canada. It's gonna come to, I think it's gonna land in Europe and like in the UK specifically in early January on Sky or whatever. So, like this is truly like such a underdog story. Basically, it's so beautiful to see as well. But you can still already watch it, of course, if you have VPN, a very good VPN. You can already watch it wherever you are, of course. But yeah, just like incredible story. Honestly, it's just a victory lap for the show itself, I think. From having difficulties finding a house in the streaming platforms to this, truly like an incredible story to be told everywhere. And honestly, I also don't completely blame the other execs for initially not believing in the show, like mostly because the current global political, I guess, climate is quite leaning towards conservative tendencies, I guess, and it might have seemed like a big risk due to the central themes of the show and subjects of the show itself to like greenlight this. But this perfectly leads me into what the show is even about and what it is special about it. So, Heated Rivalry is a TV show written and directed by Jacob Tierney. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his surname, but it was made for basically Crave. The Canadian streaming platform basically decided to greenlight this and produce this basically. So, and it's based on Rachel Reed's Game Changers novel series. So it's 2 books from this series. One called Heated Rivalry, and the other one I just don't know. I never read the books. To be fair, I never ever even heard of the books before this. But yeah, the series stars basically Hudson Williams and Connor Story as 2 rival professional hockey players. These 2 actors are, frankly, newcomers, and this is also what is very exciting about this TV show, is that they're also giving us 2 new potential stars in Hollywood. Like, really, people are going from almost unheard of to massive success, and this is so interesting to see as well, because these 2 actors specifically deserve all the attention and the accolades that could possibly ever exist. Like, they are truthfully incredible, and I'm not even sure how this this is such a, it feels like a mix of so many different circumstances that just fitting so perfectly together and just matching so well. Like, incredible story, incredible direction, incredible acting as well, which is like insane. And these 2 actors basically play these 2 rival professional hockey players. Canadian Shane Hollander, who was portrayed by Hudson Williams, and Russian Ilya Rosenov, portrayed by Connor Story. Despite their on-ice animosity, basically, they conceal a passionate secret romance, these 2 men, and each episode follows the 2 rivals as they climb the ladder and become more and more successful, all while secretly navigating their undefined relationship for a good 10 years. Needless to say, the show features a lot of fast forwards, which are actually quite cool, I think, and they also add, I think, as an extra layer to the fleeting nature of their in-person encounters. The show starts off in 2008, I believe, and goes up until 2018. We end there, I assume, with the next episode. And this is very important to know because it gives more credibility to the fact that it was so taboo for these athletes to publicly discuss their sexualities at the time. And this is not to say, of course, that nowadays people have less issues with the topic of homosexuality, but it is definitely easier compared to almost 20 years ago to talk about it. Their relationship definitely starts off as an uncommitted, fun, succession of encounters, I would say, but it keeps on being fueled by mutual curiosity without ever properly defining what they mean to each other, I guess, which is the most hard but also frustrating part about this whole show. It's very, very sad. At its core is actually, if you really take a step back from the glamour of it all, it's actually quite a sad story, and it's very heartbreaking. It's also, if you like trauma born, I guess, in a way, it is that. It is basically watching these 2 people being very miserable for a lot of the time, which is very sad to see, but also very relatable. So yeah, the relationship, definitely starts off as an uncommitted fun, but these 2 people are in the public eye, eternal rivals who are both at the peak of their career, which further adds to the stress and difficulty in facing what is undefined about them. it makes sense, I guess, initially to just keep things undefined, because it would mean too much. It would be too much, and it would the stakes are too high to unravel both of their feelings, I guess. And on top of that, both of the characters also deal with very personal issues. Shane, the Canadian player who plays for Montreal, and then the Russian player Ilya plays for Boston. Shane feels particularly pressurized to represent the Asian Canadian community in hockey, which at the time was very, non-existent pretty much. He also has to try and preserve basically his name and fame that he so hardly worked for. He's truly very passionate about the game and the sports, and he is exceptionally good at it. So he really wants to preserve, what he's built for himself. On the other hand, Ilya, who frankly does not care much about that side, like the sports and doing well. He's a natural talent at the sport, but he doesn't really care about it, I think. And I think the actor and the original writer of the books have also both confirmed this. But on the other hand, he has to instead deal with the fact that he's the only person sustaining his entire family. His dad, his brother's wife and children. And he also does not have his mom died when he was a kid as well, which further adds to the complicated relationship with his family, and all of this while also his dad's health keeps on declining very rapidly. So just very messy, very difficult for them to just truly face each other's the feelings they have for each other, while also while all this is happening around them, right? So all these issues create a lot of tension, needless to say, between the characters, which often end up splitting apart, but then inevitably coming back between these 10 years, basically, right? So the only time they actually see each other and have an excuse, I guess, to secretly also see each other, basically, is when they play against each other in different cities. So the show, that's also partially why this thing drags on for 10 years, is because because it's never defined and it's only based on fleeting encounters, it drags on for a long time, basically, and they never truthfully face each other in terms of feelings at pretty much almost never. So yeah, there's a lot of tension in the show, a lot of tension. But I think also the show, on the other hand, truly deals with a lot of very complex issues in a very intelligent and sophisticated way, which in my opinion, adds further quality, I guess, to the show, and is truly impressive and outstanding, I think. So yeah, relatability, I guess, it is one of the main components in making the show, I guess, such a massive hit. A lot of these themes like sexuality, personal discovery, pressure, all these things are themes that are very relatable for teens and people in their 20s and their 30s, and people are in careers and all of that stuff. The show does a very good job in representing that and conveying these emotions, and I think also does a very good job in presenting both characters, so that you as a viewer are able to relate to at least one of them, if not both of the characters. A very important element, I think, here is that, of course, it doesn't go unnoticed. That's one of the main reasons, the flashier parts of the show, I guess, is that the show is very willingly going into explicit territories, especially with the sex scenes. The cops are getting me again, always getting me. This is crazy. Take a shot whenever one of my episodes is interrupted by the cops. Damn. But what is more important here, I think, is that each sex scene is, while being definitely full of eye candy, let's just say, and very fun service oriented, it still feels very grounded and important to the story itself, I think. Stuff that happens in a bedroom informs the viewer about the real nature of both characters and where they are at in that specific moment, and in terms of how emotionally available or unavailable they could be to each other, and etc. I can't explain it, but each time they meet up secretly, there's basically always something very interesting happening between the two of them. Either Shane, who is definitely less experienced compared to Ilya, discovering sex for the first time and his sexuality through Ilya, or the two slowly catching feelings for each other, or then the two of them slowly drifting apart because they feel like it's too much to just commit, and to open up as well. It's so interesting. It's sort of the sexual encounters are sort of like a mirror to the status of the relationship, basically. And it is very important to note this, because the two men are practically avoiding any sort of important an emotional deep conversation anytime they are together. So it's more about what is not being said than in these encounters than what really is said that really stands out, it's incredible, like literally, wow, dropping, like literally, like so well constructed and executed as well. What else? Well, I think another big selling point, I guess, of the show that really keeps you hooked and keeps you going back to it and fuels repeated viewing, is also how, clandestine the whole thing feels. It is both like equally hot and sad, as as I already said, especially when the show is like so good at making you root for the two of them. It's always sort of heartbreaking to see one of them making a wrong step or misreading a situation or not using any words or like not being open to each other or like just being very emotionally distant. It's just very heartbreaking to see them go through all that, and honestly also very relatable, I would say, especially in our generation. Is just frankly something that really we all have to deal with, I guess. So yeah, I mean, it is so like rich in what it deals with. Is just so interesting. I think also I want to give a shout out to like the female characters that are in the show, especially Svetlana and Rose, both being the biggest allies ever, and just sort of like also a real life situation where basically many gay men find a space and a conference space with women, and they open up mostly with women rather than their families or their other male friends. Like, it's just like a very relatable and real world situation where women once again carry society on their back. So yeah, I think that's another very important thing to note. I think another element that I really, really enjoy is that despite the smaller budget, the show is also shot in such an interesting way. Very great use of lighting, and how we go from many dark hotel rooms and encounters basically to bigger and bigger mansions, and then eventually all played in contrast to the action shots on the ice rink. Just very, very smart, very well executed, and also the sex scenes are never too revealing. They don't never show genitals or whatever. They're just like very well shot, I think. So just overall a very smart use of the budget as I think as well. Just very, very cool. And I think also we need to recognize how good the two main actors are. I think that I was talking about this slightly earlier, but the acting is incredible. Like, they just embody the characters so well. I'm still shocked that Connor is not actually Russian. He speaks the language so fluently in the show, and he learned it specifically for this role. And even his Russian accent in English is so believable and sexy to add on top of that. But also, again, I think this also made the rounds on social media, but it's so interesting to see the actor like behind the scenes or like on the interviews, and then him acting as Ilya Rosenov. Like, Connor truthfully switches. Like, there's a switch that gets flipped. It's just like something crazy to see. Like, he's just a completely different person when he plays a character. It's just so interesting, and so a big testament to like how good he is. But also, Hollander is just portrayed in such an interesting way, especially him being a very, out of the two, the less the more reserved person, the more, I guess, direct and sincere person, but not really super emotive. Like, you get a lot of his emotions from his face and his facial expressions. He's not a very like loud person or a very flamboyant person at all in the show. Like, he's a very reserved person, and you have to really look into the body acting most of all to see what he feels and all that. There's that specific scene that I always think about of them. Was it in Vegas where they when they go to like the award show and they have that chat, and then they meet up in the bathroom after, and he's just basically on the verge of tears, but and he's so confused about the two of them and what Ilya wants from him and all that stuff. That just, the acting there is incredible. And of course I have to also give my hats off to the phone call they had in episode 5 where Connor speaks in French and basically confesses his feelings to Hollander, basically. Well, of course, while he doesn't understand Russian, but that's another problem, I guess, for them to unpack. But such a good scene, such a good scene, and they're both so talented. 24 and 25 years old, they're emerging actors. It's just so refreshing to see someone new on the screen that does such a good job, such a incredible performance. And I do hope the Emmys next year reward this show, because truthfully, this is just incredible. It's hitting on all the quadrants, like it's just really going places that it needs to go to, and I also again have to give flowers to Challengers, the movie, for fueling this show particularly, I think. But I think the movie itself has been pivotal to the success of this TV show, because it really, if you think about it, this is sort of that in a different font, but like spanning out in a full TV show. Like you have 6 episodes, almost 1 hour each, so it's like an extended world there, basically, right? Like it's just the same experience, but like very much extended and more in depth. But yeah, it was pivotal, I think, as I said, to the success of this one, because it really highlighted, I think, some untapped potential in the romance genre. I think queerness in a very male, straight, but yet homoerotic space that is competitive sport is quite an interesting space to look into, and not only raises a lot of awareness, I think, also among the athletes and just in real world, but I think also it deconstructs the image of the very aggressive and hyper masculine man that partake in these sports, in these competitive sports. And yes, the parallels between the movie and the TV show are endless, like literally from the secret encounters to even the first scene ever in episode 1, where they meet up for the first time in a alleyway while Ilya is smoking, is so similar to when Tashi, like Zendaya's character, meets up with Joshua Connor's character when they have that chat and she slaps him or whatever. That's so similar to this one. And of course also the actual rivalry between the two male main characters, the steamy changing room scenes, etc., like the time jumps too. It's just like there's so many parallels between the two things. They're just, I think also, yeah, the music as well, the score is very interesting, very similar to Challengers. Like definitely the way it was directed and produced definitely it gives a nod to Challengers, I think, for sure. They're basically cut from the same cloth, I think. Now maybe you might be asking yourself, how does a queer romance between two men interest the general public at all? Well, you may or may not believe this, but the biggest demographic actually between the viewers of the show is straight female viewers, basically. Fuzhou is an actual thing. It is coined originally for female straight viewers of BL anime shows, basically queer anime shows, basically. But that is a very specific category of viewership, I guess, that is built by female straight viewers that really enjoy gay man romance. And it turns out that there's actually quite a lot of women who like these type of shows. Like clearly from the success of this show, it's very clear that a lot of women like this one quite a lot. Why? Well, the easiest and quickest answer, I think, I looked into this endlessly because I'm very interested in also finding out why specifically, but there's no straight answer, of course. But the easiest and quickest answer, I guess, the most shallow one, is that there are 2 hot men here at play, right? Like there are 2 hot men, which means double the entertainment for women specifically. But of course, there's a lot more to that, which I think is really interesting. Queer romantic shows portray usually men in a less hyper-masculine and aggressive light. By also having 2 men in love with each other, I think it is inevitable that eventually they have to explore and become emotionally intelligent to make the story progress in a certain direction. And that is very rare for romance shows or movies, where usually the woman is relegated to this type of role. They have to be the emotive one, while the man has to be the more cold-hearted one and being more direct or whatever. Here you have basically you have both men occupying these roles at the same time, both roles. I mean, the more removed but also more emotive one at the same time. So like it gives you the best of both worlds, literally. So sometimes emotionally attached, but at times quite vulnerable and emotive. And it's very rare to see men in TV shows portrayed as emotive and vulnerable, right? So many women grow, again, very tired of hyper straight men every now and then, and I think they become increasingly intrigued by alternative, let's just say, forms of masculinities, and doesn't necessarily have to be queer itself, but it's just seeing men in a different light or a different behavior is just quite interesting, and quite honestly also might be hot for them as well. I think also because the romance completely removes women from the equation, it automatically, I think, makes the viewing experience much more enjoyable and safe in a way, because you don't have necessarily to mirror yourself to any other characters. Like, you don't have to like insert yourself in a story at all. And I think plus it is a great romantic story about forbidden love, made of fleeting interactions, brief looks, secret encounters. It's basically yearning at its finest, and it's really, the strongest element that hooks you in, and it is also the basis of any great romantic story. So yeah, I think it has all the components that really, the secret sauce is basically there, right? And queer viewers, of course, are super interested in the show, because it is, as I said, very relatable, treats the coming out experience and sexual discovery with such good care, and I think overall is just making people more okay with seeing, these things on screen, which is very very important to see, and I think quite beautiful, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I am so engrossed in the show. I think it's just so refreshing to see something so, unusual, I would say, to become so mainstream. Like, usually these things are relegated to, queer viewership or female viewership, or just very small audiences, but this is just like really dominating at the moment, and it's just in a space, and again, as I already said, like in a political space right now that is quite toxic and quite scary. It's very interesting to see a more liberal, I guess, story at play. I guess a more I think a more a more unusual story to be told in this way, and I think seeing so many people resonate is just so beautiful to see, and I'm very 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 excited for this show, because it's just, maybe it will signify a big switch in entertainment moving forward, and a return to more I guess representation, and done in the right way, though, of course, which what this is basically. So yeah, I mean, check it out, please do see this, because this is just genuinely, it will be your new your new obsession, your new personality for the rest of the year, hopefully. And it's also good to have a show at Christmas, around Christmas, basically, that really you can tune in. This has been like my winter show, basically, that really keeps me going and really is interesting to see. And I'm already depressed as to what is going to happen when this show ends next week. I don't know what's going to be my next, what's going to keep me afloat. I definitely will try and rewatch the whole thing at once, like, with all the episodes, because it is worth seeing. And I think the more you watch it, the more elements like pop up and really, take notice of them. But yeah, go watch it. I'm not paid, I'm not sponsored by any of them, but you should definitely go watch it. I told my friends to do it, and hopefully I got them to watch it. But yeah, just get on with it, guys. Get on with it. Before the show ends on Friday, you have a week to catch up. Now, word to the sponsor, and then songs of the week, because we have to talk about a couple of songs on the score for this TV show as well. See you in a bit. Right, in this show, there's a lot of men who have very great, incredible hair as well. So I think it's only fitting that I talk about my sponsor for this episode, Yarok Plant-Based Hair Care. Because listen up, I found a perfect blend of nature, luxury, and results. And honestly, your hair has never had it this good. Yarok is all about organic, vegan ingredients, no parabens, no sulfates, no alcohol. None of the harsh stuff you'll find in typical hair products. Instead, every bottle is packed with vitamins, minerals, essential oils, that actually feed your hair. Imagine a shampoo and conditioner that don't strip your hair but nourish it. A mousse that gives you volume without chemicals. Products that make your hair look healthier, shinier, softer because they're powered by real botanicals. That is clean beauty at its best. It's luxurious, it's effective, and it's also very kind to the planet as well. And because you're a listener, you get something very special, which is 15% off any product. Yes, 15% off everything. And this is the highest discount they offer anywhere. It's exclusive and it's just for you. So treat your hair to the plant-based upgrade it deserves. Go check out Yarok and use your exclusive 15% discount to experience the difference nature can make. Just use my code Overshare Pamphlet. Again, Overshare Pamphlet for 15% off on Yarok plant-based hair care. Get back to the episode. Songs of the week. Right, we got to get into the songs now, as I said. So it's only topical that we, first talk about the two songs that I was referring to that are in the Heated Rivalry, score. The first one is Un jour n'est pas fait. That's the French song that really kickstarted my indie French music journey. I think the artist's name is Dumas. That song is just so good. Like, it's very 21 Pilots coded in a way. Very. I think you could really use this also in your traveling playlist. To be fair, it's a like song journey song in a way, if I have to be honest. Very, very cute. Really liked it. Yeah, I mean it's a gag. It's really it's really interesting. I think it really was used very well in a TV show as well, and it was it's mostly I think used for Shane Hollander in one of his scenes. I think when he goes for the first time to eat with his parents, something like that. That really is a very indie track, very cute. It's just very catchy as well. It's just a really emotive type of song. Really like it. I think I should definitely listen to it. Now the bigger one that really I keep on replaying constantly is Mange 2 by Wet Leg, which is just, the more I learn about the song, the more smart it is. I could understand why it was called Mange 2. The song itself, it's not even in French. This one is in English, but basically she talks about she's using a show when they start training or whatever. In one of the scenes where they run or whatever, they're running around but they're separate or whatever. I don't know. But this song is basically about her asking for this man to get out of her relationship and her life in general. And Mange 2, if you spell it, it can also spell man get out, because it's MANGETOUT. And that's literally the song. She says I give you a bag, you read and it says Mange 2, I give you magic beans, I hope you're gonna get out soon. She's literally giving him this bag of Mange 2 that is a message just saying basically just get out, just go. She's just handing him basically a note saying just get the fuck out of here, basically, right? So smart, so funny, but also very catchy. This is very indie. It reminds me a lot of Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers in terms of production. Very cool, very very interesting. Definitely go listen to it. I think you guys would definitely enjoy it. Then I also have Grateful by Insightful. I was supposed to actually put this song in last week, but I completely forgot. This song is so good. It's literally I don't even know how to describe it, because it's not, it's more very bass centric. It's not indie at all, but it's it's kind of one of those songs that you would definitely play to feel cool. Let's just say that. That's just the way I can describe it. Very background type of track in a way, not in a bad way, in a good way. Almost a bit cinematic too, not in a sense of you definitely see it as using a scene. Could be using a scene where you getting ready, or you're going out in the city or something. It's just very interesting, very cool song, very very interesting, very glossy as a song, I would say. And then I also have Pink Plus Pink by Rakowski, Rosowski, and Ravin Lene. This song is so interesting. I don't think I've ever heard anything like this. It's very Latin influenced in a way, but the song keeps on progressing, and there's like arps in the song, and then there's synth bass in the song. It's just such an interesting production. I don't think I've ever heard anything like this. Plus, Ravin Lene, I just love her voice. She's just so good and so talented, and I think this was just so unusual. I think it's just I never heard a song like a song like this. It's not necessarily like, you know, super Latin coded, but I think there's definitely a lot of Latin elements in it, and then there's this arp that comes in out of nowhere that is just so interesting. So yeah, I mean, if you want something that basically a bit more out there and a bit different maybe from what you usually listen to, this probably could be it. Just go and check out the songs on the Overshare Pamphlet Songs of the Week, December 2025. I mean, we're more than halfway through the month. We're actually 3/4 into the month, so next episode will be the last of the month, but you can still go and check out the playlist, of course, and you can check out all the other playlists on Spotify too. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was definitely a long overdue episode that I really wanted to make, and I'm finally so happy that I made it. So yeah, see you next week, and have a great Christmas. Happy Christmas.